Hey, Miles here, milesbeckler.com, and in this video we are going to talk about willpower and resistance. Now, when you get these things working right and when you work with them on your own kind of personal level, right, this is a know thyself kind of a moment and video, then you're able to accomplish great things in a shorter period of time. If you don't get these things dialed in right and they combat each other and they start winning, you will find that you actually end up spinning your tires like you're stuck in the mud, you're getting nowhere, just getting deeper and deeper and more stuck. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of unwrap these two ideas. There's a few supporting ideas that work with them to make it all make sense, and at the end, we're gonna build this back up in a way so you have a plan to manage and deal with both of these to make the maximum kind of progress in the shortest period of time. Now, first and foremost, I was a procrastinator most of my life. Even to this day, with certain things, I still procrastinate a lot. With that said, I've had a lot of willpower in my life to be able to push through and persevere when the pain and the challenge and the I have to do this kind of level of emotion in me was high enough. And I didn't really understand why or how those things were working, and I definitely didn't understand how to get those working for myself. So first, my philosophy on willpower. I believe we each have a willpower tank, right? Just like a tank of fuel in your vehicle, when that tank is on empty, you have no willpower. When that tank is full, you have full willpower. And every single day when we wake up in the morning, we have a full tank of willpower once again. Towards the middle of the day, you're down half tank or less, and at the end of the day, depending on how crazy your day was, you might be running on fumes literally at that point in time. Resistance, on the other hand, it's actually a phrase coined, I believe it was coined by, I think his name is Michael Pressfield. Definitely last name is Pressfield, from the book War of Art. And he says that what we're all artists, right? So in his philosophy and my philosophy, business is my art, right? Like Facebook ads and the funnels and that strategy of how to put them together in a way that's going to work. That's my form of art. And every great artist out there, whether business is your art or writing is your art, whatever it is, we all face resistance in our daily lives. And that's the little kind of willingness to do those other things, or I don't really want to do that, or maybe I'll go make another cup of coffee first, or oh, maybe I should go for a walk first, or all those other billions of little things that we come up with to keep ourselves from doing the important items that make all the difference. For a writer, it's writing, right? If you write books and you're an author and you're not writing, everything you're doing instead of writing is your resistance. If you're a musician and you're not actually making your music, every other thing you're doing, if you're fiddling with your website and you think you're a musician and you think that you have to build your website, but that's holding you back from making your music in the world, that website building process is your resistance, right? And the reason we're talking about these two things, willpower and resistance, at the same time is they're kind of correlated, right? And I don't know if correlated is the perfect word, but they seem to work opposite of each other, right? When we have a full tank of willpower, we can jump out there and resistance seems small. When we, as our willpower tank kind of does this throughout the day, it seems like resistance creeps up and up and up, and even little tasks become more and more difficult as our willpower kind of subsides. Quick story, when I first came out of high school, I did not go into college, I went straight into the workforce, and I got an inside sales job selling advertisement for the local newspaper. Essentially, I started a fresh desk, there was no business, I didn't have accounts to already call on, and my job was to make literally 150 plus cold calls every single day to try to bring in new advertisers for the newspaper. You know what I found myself doing a lot? In the morning, I'd get up, I'd get there, and I'd hit it hard, right? Full tank of willpower, cup of coffee on my desk, call. By the mid-morning break or after lunch, when the food's in my stomach and I'm feeling a little tired, I'd go get another notepad, and I gotta sharpen some pencils. I need a new pen. I need to go talk to the design team about something. I got a question for the boss about this, that, or the other. I would find all these little things that would keep me from doing the important task of making those calls. Funny thing is, I was working on commission, so I hit a point one month where I was like, oh man, if I don't make those calls, I don't make my money. And I realized that I had to break through that kind of willingness to dabble on social media, that willingness to kind of read another article or watch another YouTube video about how to do that thing versus jumping in, doing that thing, and getting experience. Now, In this example, if you notice, there's different levels of tasks in every business, right? In that example, the most important task for me to do was to make those calls, because that's how I brought on new clients. But urgent things pop up, right? The design team might say, hey, we have a problem with this ad, it doesn't fit in this space, or we need to reshape this. Those are urgent things. You'll find in everything that you do, you're going to have urgent things that pop up, but then you're going to have important things. A lot of people have this kind of analogy, like, oh yeah, at work, I'm like a firefighter. All I do is I put out fires all day. That means they're going from an urgent thing to an urgent thing to an urgent thing. Most of the time, these pop up by somebody walking up to your desk, by an email, or by your support person hitting you up on Slack, etc. And I'm not saying we ignore those urgent things, but I'm saying you have to also work on the important things that'll take you to your long-term success in order to truly reach that long-term success, right? So all weekend, this past weekend, I worked on a new video sales letter. I had a video sales letter in place. It's just not working that great. So I'm working on a new script. You know what I found? I found myself Friday night, I was gonna keep working on it. I don't really feel like doing this. So what I do, I went on Facebook Live and I did this Facebook Live where I was kind of answering people's questions about funnels, this, that, the other. I went for a couple of hikes, this, that, the other. But every day when I woke up, I gave it at least a 3 or a 4 hour session, 100% focused on that video sales letter script. And by Sunday, it was done, which was my ultimate goal. And that's because I know that when I get up in the morning with a full tank of willpower, the first thing I do after I meditate and make a cup of coffee is focus on the most important long-term task first. And this is the first big takeaway for you, is when you're working on building your business, you need to keep in mind, what is that long-term important item? And I've talked in a previous video, the number one priority is to #get money, right? As a business owner, you have to make money. If you're doing the kind of marketing arbitrage business, then reaching out to business owners and putting together kind of presentations for business owners is a really important task, because that puts you in a position to ask for the sale. For us information marketers or affiliate marketers or even e-commerce people, it's listing the products through our sales messages, and then it's running traffic to these sales messages, etc., etc. We can often get kind of caught up. This video right here is a perfect example, right? Like for me, these aren't necessarily long-term important, nor are these urgent items for me to do. And that's why I'm doing this now at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon today, 3:30, 4 o'clock, I believe it is because I've got all my urgent stuff, I've got all my important stuff done, right? So when I wake up, I look, and there's essentially 2 buckets that everything that's facing me falls within. Bucket number 1 is the long-term important, and no one is ever going to email me or hit me with an alert or a message saying, Miles, remember, you got to do that long-term important thing because you're growing this business to your ultimate goal. No one says that. So it's up to me with my willpower tank and my commitment to remind myself every morning, important thing first. Because if I keep working on those important things, I'll make the most progress down the path. Then after I have my first 1.5 to 2 hours working on those important tasks, at that point I go into my email. At that point I go into YouTube comments. In that point I go in and check in on my support team who runs on Slack. And I'll go into Facebook and check the Facebook messaging system. So not until I go through all of my important tasks, then I go look for anything that's urgent. I'm ignoring and unsubscribing and literally skipping over most messages that come my way, literally putting them on a shelf. I'll get to it later maybe because they're not really urgent or important. I pick out the urgent ones, I get those done, and then I'm out of those systems that allow other people to put urgent things in front of me. And at that point, I go back to what's important. And I usually go for a hike around this time. It's midday, and that's one way that I find that I'm able to boost up my willpower tank is through hiking and meditation. I've got videos on this. You can go to milesbeckler.com/free. You can get a free abundance meditation from that page. And it's essentially like a 30-minute, you just listen to it. You can lay down, you can go for a walk. It doesn't matter. But what it's designed to do is kind of clear your head of all the thoughts that are swirling around and allow you to kind of ground in just a state of being, to let everything be okay. It's when we feel like, oh, there's a fire here and a fire there, and I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do this. And it's like, yeah, at some point we really do, but what would really happen if you don't do those things right now? Right? What would really happen if you took 30 minutes for yourself to collect your thoughts, to kind of ground, to boost up your energy. So when you do go approach those next things you're going to work on, whether they're urgent or important, you're able to do so kind of with a little bit more energy. And that's how I usually find these kind of like two-punch days where I get a lot accomplished in a relatively short period of time. Then there's the resistance side, right? Resistance is everywhere in our society in this day and age. If you have a mobile device, which you obviously do, right? Your smartphone, if you leave notifications on for all of your apps, if your Facebook app, your Messenger app, first of all, I don't have Facebook app on my phone at all. I don't have Messenger app installed on my phone at all. Any apps I do have installed, I have Slack, so my team can communicate with me, but most, I would say 90% of apps I have, when I load a new app onto my phone, I go in and I turn off every single notification. Twitter does not notify me about anything. Instagram does not notify me about anything. Why? Because I need to be in control of when it's appropriate for me to open those things, because those constant notifications are a massive opportunity to give in to the resistance that is very, very real. If you haven't read War of Art by Pressfield, I 100% recommend it. It's an absolutely fantastic book. I listen to it on Audible because that's what I do. I don't read as much as I listen. And I thought it was a great book because the way he depicts the kind of the way that situation, that relationship that we have with our resistance works. Now, my wife and I, having both gone through that content, we're able to spot it, and we even use that term. It's like, aha, I hit my resistance. I even did that on the Facebook Live that I did. It was like, look, I'm feeling resistance. It was 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night. Wife was cooking dinner. I was like supposed to be working on that. I just didn't feel like doing it anymore. So I went on Facebook Live and I just gave of myself a little bit, and it was fun. I'm glad I did it. But you know what I did? First thing that next morning, I woke up and I spent 4 hours that morning. I went for a hike. I came back. I spent another 4 hours. I believe I spent about 12 to 15 hours, and Melanie spent 5 or 6 plus hours on this herself over the weekend as well. And we really, really focused on it because it's important for us to get that done so we can get that new sales messaging in place and test it against the old one. The old one's working pretty good, but this is a total reframe. This is a big test. And these kinds of split tests, these really strategic split tests within our business, those are the important things. And that's, no one's ever going to email you like, remember, you got to split test your opt-in page because you're only getting 30% opt-in, and your conversion rate on your OTO is only 1.5%, and you could probably get that up to 3 or 4%. Those are the kinds of things that we have to, as business owners, maintain as priorities. And that is essentially moving it to the beginning of your day so you have a full tank of willpower and you could jump in. Brian Tracy calls it eating your frog. Personally, I'm a vegetarian. I don't eat frogs. Even if when I did eat meat, I didn't eat frogs. But the concept is do the most difficult thing first. And I agree with that concept, but I also like to make sure that it's not just responding to the urgent things, right? If the urgent things feel difficult, maybe you have to do that right now, but what's the long-term vision? Where are you at on that long-term path? And if you're putting out a 90-day challenge and you're amidst a 90-day challenge, when I was amidst my 120-day challenge, my videos moved to the front of my day. I would do my videos when I had that willpower, that energy to get it up and going, and then I go back into my business because I had a lot of things working in my business. Now I've totally 180'd that because I've got my kind of base of videos dialed at this point. I want to keep putting out 2 to 3 videos per week and run with that at a very consistent pace. I'm getting into my marathon runner pace, but I'm ready to level up my business in another way so I can have new, interesting topics to share with you. And that requires me to be a thought leader in my own business and a practitioner in my own business, working on these next level things, testing out new video sales letter scripts. Testing out, my big test right now is we have a talking head video sales letter, which is a video of my wife. You can see her face in the shot. And we're going to be testing it against a new messaging that's going to use slideshows. And I'm going to test them against each other. And one, I already have data. I know how good that one converts. I'll see how good the next one converts using just white slides with black text. And those are the kinds of things I want to do now to push my business forward, to elevate my game so I can share with you those next level tactics to help you grow your game. And that's me knowing myself. That's self-awareness, right? That's just self-reflection and knowing that all these fires that most people run around, and I'm a firefighter, I put out fires every day at work, that's what I do. They're just kind of creating job security for themselves, and if you really look from a big picture at what they get done, they don't ultimately get all that much done in a big picture sense. Are they solving individual issues that come up quickly? Sure. Is that giving a good kind of value to the business in the eyes of that whoever that is on the other side of the problem that they're handling? Sure. But are they able to take their business from $3 million to $20 million per year by putting out fires every day? Absolutely not. Putting out fires every day will maintain you where you're at, but you need to come up with new strategic ideas, and then you must implement and test said strategic ideas in order to truly grow your business 100%, 500% ROI year over year. And that is ultimately the goal. My wife and I have been running an incredibly fast growing business for 8 years. We grow approximately 80 to 100% per year, year over year. And that's raising the bar. And I got to come up with new ways to keep that going. So if this doesn't make sense, leave me a comment. I want to make sure this makes sense because this is so important for you to understand. And the trick to getting this right is first thing when your willpower tank is full, because every morning you wake up, it's full, that first moment you have, don't go into reactionary mode. Do go into what is the most important long-term task I can work on. If you can only dedicate 45 minutes to that one task, perfect. Do it every day. And guess what happens over the course of 3 weeks? You get a ton done on those important tasks, and that's how you level your business up. Then, yeah, sure, flip into customer support. And I mean, I know it. I wore every hat in my business. You got to do all those other little things too, but you got to work on what's important when your willpower tank is full so you can break through your resistance, make massive amounts of progress, and that is how you grow a business from nothing to 6 figures to $1 million a year plus and 8 figures and beyond. It's through focusing on what's long-term important. You got to stay focused on that while still taking care of everything else. And if you focus on the long-term things first, when you have a full tank of willpower, everything else will take care of itself. And those fires will be waiting for you when you get to them. All those emails in your inbox and all those requests and all those responses in Instagram to that picture you posted last night, they'll be there when you get there. Don't let them control what your use of willpower goes to, because if you wake up in the morning and you hit your Facebook app, you got 5 things to respond to in there, you got 8 people responding to you in Instagram, then you hop over to Twitter, and then you hop over to your email and you respond to 10 emails there, you just wasted 2 hours and your willpower tank went from full to 2/3 of the way full, and you lost 1/3 of your willpower. Resistance is now stronger than it was before. The odds of you working on these important tasks that'll truly grow your business goes down significantly. You can still feel busy, right? You can still feel accomplished from approaching it in this manner, but here's the thing. You aren't doing the strategic things first, and you aren't going to make that long-term progress in your business, which is the ultimate thing you have to stay focused on. Are you working on the most strategic and important item in your business? Are you focused on that little hinge that swings a big door to make leaps and bounds of growth in your business? It pretty much always comes down to your products offerings, your funnels, and your traffic. That's it. That is it, right? And your traffic is your email list, your funnels tie into your email list. Those are the only things you really have to juggle. So do those first, stick with what's important. If you're having challenges figuring out what is important, or if you wonder is this urgent or is this important, or should I do this first or that first, hit me in the comments. I'm happy to answer as best I can. I thank you very much for your time. Give me a thumbs up here if you watched to the end. You are a #badass if you watched to this point, and I do appreciate you watching all the way to the end, and I look forward to connecting with you on the next video. Be well.